What if the Zimbabwean president dies today or was suddenly removed from office? What would happen and who would take over? Is it the Speaker of Parliament or is it one of the two vice presidents? And why do we even have two vice presidents in the first place? Well, my fellow Sazaitas, today we're going to take a look at the constitutional steps that would be taken in the event that a sudden vacancy arose in the office of president. As a starting point, let me make this unequivocally clear. I am not wishing death upon the Zimbabwean president. We are simply answering a constitutional question and educating people about our national constitution. I will be doing this on a regular basis going forward. Now, what happens when a Zimbabwean president dies? Well, Section 101 of the Zimbabwean Constitution is very clear on what happens in the event of death, resignation, or incapacity of the president. So, if the president died today, the vice president would immediately take over on an acting basis so that there is no vacuum in the highest office. A country can't properly function without a head of state because there are certain functions of government that only a head of state can perform, be they ceremonial or executive. So that is why a vice president takes over on an acting basis immediately after the death, resignation, or removal of the president. However, there is a problem. You see, we have two vice presidents in Zimbabwe and only one of them can take over. So what then happens? Who takes over between the two of them? Do we just look at maybe their length of service? Do we look at who is better qualified and more presidential? Or do we just close our eyes and say, my mother told me to choose this one, but I like this one? Well, fortunately, the Constitution is very clear on this. So you see, the last VP to act as president is the one who takes over. But keep in mind, I said he takes over only on an acting basis, which means he's only there temporarily. It's a temporary thing. The VP becomes acting president until a new president is chosen. So how is this new president chosen? Well, again, Section 101 of the Constitution is very clear. If a president dies, he is replaced by someone from his political party, and to be very clear, by his political party I mean the party which he represented when he won the presidential election. So that party must nominate someone to take over and finish the term of the deceased president. But how does this party nominate someone? Well, it does this by writing a letter to the Speaker of Parliament indicating the name of the nominated person. This must be done within 90 days. The Constitution allocates 90 days for this because there is no vacuum in the meantime. Remember, as all of this is happening, there is an acting president who took over immediately after the death, removal, or resignation of the last president. So, the question is, what happens if the dead president was an independent candidate? Who would take over in that scenario? Well, again, the Constitution is very clear. In the event that the president was an independent candidate, the last VP to act as president takes over to finish the term of the deceased president. So, there you have it. When a president dies, resigns, or is removed from office before his term expires, he is replaced by someone from the party that he represented in the last election. Of course, apart from death and resignation, the other way that Zimbabwean presidents can be legally removed from office is through an impeachment process. This is exactly what happened to Robert Mugabe in 2017. Now, let me ask you a question regarding the November 2017 coup. Do you know why they call it a not a coup? A coup that wasn't really a coup. The first one of its kind on planet Earth. It's because after the military had subverted a government, they then asked Robert Mugabe to resign because they were desperate to make it look like it wasn't a coup. But Robert Mugabe refused to step down. After that, the army immediately convened a parliament and got it to commence the impeachment process. When Robert Mugabe finally realized that it was now game over, he then resigned as Parliament was impeaching him. The Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Mudenda, actually paused the impeachment proceeding to read Robert Mugabe's resignation letter, much to the jubilation of the parliamentarians packed in that HACC auditorium. So, what that means is, resignation or no resignation, Robert Mugabe was still going to be removed by Parliament. If Mugabe hadn't resigned on that day, he was still going to be removed by Parliament via that impeachment process. Now, think about it. These are my takeaways. So, the military got the citizens and Parliament to sanitize its coup. The citizens sanitized that coup through the march, and Parliament sanitized that coup through its impeachment process. By the way before that, the military had actually gotten Robert Mugabe himself to sanitize that coup. Remember, Mugabe in that Asante Sana speech said that the actions of the army did not amount to a coup d'etat. He said this in the vain hope of him saving the situation. He was still in denial. Of course, he later regretted sanitizing the coup, vowing not to vote for ZANU-PF in 2018. It's also interesting that the army blocked Phelekezela Mpogo from becoming acting president pending the ascension of ED to the throne. They had 90 days to prepare for ED's takeover, but they rushed it in order to fill the vacuum in the office of president. Under normal circumstances, Phelekezela Mpogo would have temporarily taken over as acting president pending Mnangagwa's inauguration, which had to happen within 90 days. But of course, they didn't want Phelekezela Mpogo anywhere near power. I mean, just think about it. You have just successfully staged a coup. Now, why would you make someone who wasn't part of that coup president, even on an acting basis? The 2017 coup was just a culmination of a vicious factional conflict in ZANU-PF. One faction won because it got the backing of the military. And the leader of that faction is now preparing to do yet another coup on the conscience of Zimbabweans. And that is him pretending that he's gonna step down when in fact he's consolidating power. Him pretending that it's all about Vision 2030 when in fact it's about a life presidency, a dynasty. Ladies and gentlemen, you are going to be Putin'd. You are going to be Xi Jinping'd. Those that understand politics will know what I mean by that. But whatever happens, I'll be here to marinate you guys with all the details without fear or favor, because on this here platform, we say it as it is. And as always, thank you so much for watching. And if you enjoy the content, please do like and share.